Ever stared at your inbox on a Monday morning, eyes half open, coffee in hand, and thought, wait, is this it? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? Wake up, commute, work, eat, sleep, repeat. Like, you're stuck in a loop someone else designed for you. Now imagine this. You're answering emails from a hammock in Bali, or maybe sipping espresso in a quiet cafe in Rome, while your business runs in the background. You didn't win the lottery. You didn't sell your soul. You just figured out the system and redesigned it. Sounds like a scam, right? Like one of those, get rich while you sleep YouTube ads? But it's not. It's the real-life strategy that Tim Ferriss used and taught millions of others in his book, The 4-Hour Workweek. This isn't about quitting your job tomorrow or living on a beach forever. It's about escaping the deferred life plan that we're told. Work yourself to death now so you can enjoy life when you're 65. Instead, Ferriss asks, what if you could live more now? What if freedom wasn't just about money, but about time, energy, and choice? Today, we're breaking down the bold ideas from the 4-Hour Workweek. Not to sell you a dream, but to show you how to build a smarter, more intentional life. So grab your mental passport, because by the end of this video, you might just start questioning everything you've been told about success and discover how to truly live, not just work. So let's talk about Tim Ferriss. Because he wasn't some millionaire sitting on a beach with passive income when he wrote the 4-Hour Workweek. He was like many of us, overworked, overwhelmed, and constantly chasing a version of success that just made him more tired. Back then, Tim was running a nutrition business. On the outside, it looked like he was winning. But behind the scenes, he was grinding through 80-hour weeks, answering emails at midnight, and losing his mind. Until one day he hit a breaking point and just left. Seriously, he packed his bags and disappeared to Europe for 4 weeks. No prep, no big plan. And here's the crazy part. When he came back, his business hadn't collapsed. It had actually grown, without him micromanaging every minute. That one moment flipped his mindset upside down. He realized it wasn't about working harder. It was about working differently, smarter, intentionally. And most importantly, it was about designing a life that you don't need a vacation from. And that's what the 4-Hour Workweek is really about. Not retiring early, not to bang nothing, but cutting out the noise, simplifying your work, and creating a life with more freedom, fun, and fulfillment. In a world where remote work is exploding, side hustles are the norm, and attention is the new currency, this book feels more relevant than ever. So now the question becomes, how do you actually do it? Once you stop believing the rules are fixed, you start seeing new possibilities. And that brings us to the first and maybe most important mindset shift in this book. We've all been sold the same story, right? Go to school, get a good job, climb the ladder, work hard for 40 years, retire. Then maybe you can start living. But Tim Ferriss calls that old model the deferrer's dream. You're deferring life for someday, and sometimes that day never comes. The new rich do things differently. They ask a better question. How can I design a life I don't need a vacation from? Let me tell you about Maya. She was a sharp, successful marketing manager in Mumbai. Good salary, nice apartment, solid resume. But every Sunday night, she felt that familiar anxiety crawl in, not because she hated her job, but because she hated feeling stuck. One day, while doom scrolling at 1 a.m., she stumbled on the 4-Hour Workweek, and this one line hit her. Money is renewable, time is not. That changed everything. She started freelancing on the side, took a leap, moved to Bali for 3 months not as a digital nomad influencer, just someone chasing peace. Her income? Same. Her workload? Lower. Her joy? Way higher. Because she stopped defining wealth in rupees or dollars and started measuring it in freedom, mobility, and meaning. The new rich don't just aim for more money. They aim for control over their time, their choices, their lives. Tim puts it perfectly. The opposite of happiness is not sadness. It's boredom. And most people are working hard to afford a life they're bored in. So here's the shift. It's not about earning more, it's about living better. Now that we've flipped the definition of success, let's talk about how to escape the biggest trap that keeps people stuck, the cult of being busy. So now that you've redefined success and freedom like Maya did, the next question is, how do you actually create that kind of life when your to-do list is 3 pages long and your calendar is a war zone? That's where Tim Ferriss drops a truth bomb with the 80-20th rule. Also known as the Pareto principle, this idea is simple but radical. 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. The rest, noise, distraction, busy work disguised as productivity. Let me introduce you to Arjun. Arjun was a project manager working 10 to 12-hour days. He was always on, constantly in Zoom meetings, checking emails, updating trackers, but still felt behind. One day while reading the 4-Hour Workweek, he asked himself, what are the 20% of things I do that actually move the needle? He did a time audit for a week. Painful but eye-opening. Here's what he found. Only 2 of his weekly meetings were useful. Most of his performance came from one client. And the reports he spent hours on barely got read. So he started trimming. He cancelled 5 recurring meetings. Delegated small tasks. Stopped replying to emails that didn't need replies. Result? He cut his work hours in half, and his performance actually improved. Here's a takeaway. Productivity isn't about doing more things. It's about doing fewer things that matter. Being busy is a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and indiscriminate action. Tim Ferriss. Oof, that hits hard. Right? Because deep down, many of us confuse motion with progress. But action without intention, that's just noise. So if you want to live like the new rich, step 1 is clarity. Step 2, cut ruthlessly. But now that you're doing less, what do you do with that extra time? Coming next will flip your schedule and your income on its head. So you've trimmed the fat. You're doing less, but better. The next question is, how do you make money without constantly working? This is where it gets exciting. Tim Ferriss calls it automation, and it's the heart of the 4-hour work week. Instead of working harder, what if you could set up systems that work for you while you sleep, travel, or just enjoy your life? Let's talk about Priya. Priya was a high school language teacher. Super passionate, deeply skilled, but completely burnt out. She wanted more freedom, but quitting her job felt impossible. Then she had an idea. She recorded a short online Spanish course, something she had taught dozens of times in classrooms. She uploaded it to a learning platform, set up an automated email sequence, ran a few Facebook ads, and then something wild happened. She woke up one morning to 3 new enrollments while she was sleeping. That was her light bulb moment. She wasn't just teaching anymore. She was building something scalable, something that didn't require her to be on 24/7. The takeaway. If you have a skill teaching, writing, coding, coaching, you can turn it into a digital product or service. Then automate the delivery, the payment, even the customer support. Don't just work in your business. Build a business that works without you. Earn in dollars, live on pesos, and compensate in rupees. Translation: sell globally, live smart, and design your lifestyle around freedom, not geography. So now you're earning without clocking in. But what about control? What about time? That's what we'll tackle next. So now that you've built a system that earns money while you sleep, the next challenge is time. Because here's the truth. Even passive income gets noisy if you're doing everything yourself. That's why Tim Ferriss introduces a radical but genius idea. Outsource your life. Yes, literally hand off the stuff that drains your time and energy, even if you can do it yourself. Let's go back to David. David ran a small but growing Shopify store. Business was good, but he was drowning in customer service emails, late-night inventory checks, and a calendar that made him want to scream. Then he remembered something from the book. Tim had hired a virtual assistant in India for $5 an hour. This assistant managed everything: his email, schedule, even helped craft his online dating profile. Yep, really. David thought, why not me? So he hired a VA too. At first, just for inbox triage and order tracking, then returns, then product uploads. Within a few weeks, his daily workload dropped by 70% and his headspace clear. With that free time, David started a second business and had dinner with his family without staring at a screen for once. Here's a takeaway. You don't have to do everything, and you shouldn't. If a task can be done 80% as well by someone else, hand it off. Your time should be spent on what only you can do. Vision, creation, high leverage thinking. If it doesn't require your genius, delegate it. Your brain is not built to manage shipping labels and time zones. So you freed your time. Now comes the fun part. What do you do with that time? So now you've freed your time, automated your income, maybe even hired a virtual assistant. Sounds like the dream, right? But then something sneaky creeps in. Fear. Not the dramatic horror movie kind, more like the whisper that says, what if this all goes wrong? This is where most people get stuck. That's why Tim Ferriss doesn't just teach goal setting. He teaches something even more powerful. Fear setting. Let's revisit Arjun. Arjun had a stable tech job in Mumbai. Great salary, prestige, but every day felt like deja vu. Meetings, tasks, performance reviews, repeat. He dreamed of taking a sabbatical and backpacking through South America. But he froze every time he considered it. What if he ran out of money? What if he couldn't find another job? What if his parents thought he was being irresponsible? Then he did the exercise from the book. He wrote down what he was afraid of, the absolute worst-case scenarios, what he would do if that happened, how likely it actually was, and how he'd recover. And guess what? The fears that once seemed huge started looking small. He realized the worst case wasn't homelessness. It was maybe having to update his resume. The best case? Freedom, adventure, growth, perspective. The takeaway.
Most people don't chase their dream life because they are afraid of something vague. But when you name the fear, define it, it loses its power. People will choose unhappiness over uncertainty.
Let that sink in. So before you make a bold move, don't just ask, what do I want? Ask, what am I really afraid of? And is that fear worth staying stuck? With that courage in place, you're now ready for the next level, creating freedom through mini retirements. So now you've faced your fears. You've cleared time, automated income, outsourced tasks. Here comes the million-dollar question. What do you actually want to do with your freedom? Tim Ferriss says don't wait for retirement. Take mini retirements throughout life. Not a week off, not a rushed vacation. We're talking full-on, intentional breaks 1 to 6 months at a time where you reset, explore, and live. Let's go back to Maya. Remember Maya, the marketing manager who ditched her 9 to 5 to freelance? Well, after a few years of building stability, she tried something bold. Instead of saving up for a future retirement, she decided to sprinkle little ones into her present. Each year, she picks a new place to live for 2 months. Portugal, Vietnam, Costa Rica. She works a few hours a week, so the income flows. But mostly, she hikes, meets strangers who become friends, and journals like she's writing her life story. She calls it her annual reboot. And here's the twist. She says she's more energized, more creative, and weirdly more successful than ever. Because those breaks, they give her clarity, direction. Gratitude. Takeaway. You don't have to wait until you're 65 to enjoy life. Design your life now with seasons of deep rest and discovery. Pattern break. Retirement is a broken concept. Mini retirements are the fix. The old idea of grinding for 40 years and finally living at 70? Let's be real, that's a risky bet. So instead, what if you treated life like a series of seasons? Work, explore, create, recharge, repeat. And if you're thinking, but I have responsibilities, don't worry. The next idea is all about liberating your schedule without sacrificing your results. So you've started designing your life with mini retirements. Sounds dreamy, right? But now comes the sneaky trap that ruins freedom for a lot of people. They gain time and immediately fill it with noise, endless scrolling, overthinking, trying to do everything now that they can do anything. That's why Tim introduces a paradoxical truth. To create true freedom, you need constraints. Let's go back to Priya, remember her? She built an online Spanish course that ran while she slept. At first, the free time felt amazing, but soon she started working late again, just because she could. Then she gave herself a new rule: no work after 4 p.m. At first, it felt restrictive, but something weird happened. She started finishing more before 4 than she ever did working till 10. She focused better, cut distractions, delegated faster, and the result? More output in less time. Takeaway: don't chase more time. Use deliberate constraints to make time valuable again. Constraints aren't the enemy, they're the path. It's like packing for a weekend trip with just a backpack. You stop packing just in case junk, and only bring what matters. The same goes for your time. Tighter limits force clarity, creativity, and better decisions. So instead of asking, how can I have more hours? Ask, how can I do more of what matters in fewer hours? Because that's what the new rich do. They don't work more. They work smart, delegate wisely, and protect their energy like it's gold. So now that you've learned to use constraints to do less but better, what if you took it even further? What if you fired yourself? No, really. Tim Ferriss poses a bold question that changes everything. If you were kicked out of your business today, what would your replacement do differently? It sounds extreme, but let's be honest. Most of us build systems that revolve around us. Our knowledge, our habits, our control freak tendencies. That's where David found himself. He ran a growing digital agency, but he was the business. Every decision, every fire, every invoice ran through him. He read that question and paused. If I weren't here, what would a smarter, less emotional version of me do? So he tried it. He automated client onboarding, hired a virtual assistant, standardized delivery systems, and bit by bit he disappeared from the daily grind. Now, he works 2 days a week. The rest of the time, he surfs, reads, and this is the wild part, the business grew without him. Takeaway: build systems that don't need you. Liberate yourself by designing yourself out of the machine. Fire yourself, then build what comes next. Because the goal isn't just freedom of income. It's freedom of time, freedom of mind, freedom to create, not just survive. And that's the heart of the 4-hour work week. It's not just a book about working less. It's about working intentionally so you can live fully. So now, let's pause for a second. Let's bring all of this home with a personal reflection. What would someone like Priya or David do now with all of this? Let's talk about it. Let's go back to Maya and David for a second. Neither of them won the lottery. They didn't invent the next Uber. They didn't get lucky or stumble into freedom. They just questioned the default. Maya realized she didn't have to wait until retirement to feel alive. David realized his business shouldn't depend on him burning out. They both stopped asking, "How can I work harder?" and started asking, "What if life could feel lighter on purpose?" And that right there is the real heart of the 4-hour work week. It's not about being lazy. It's not about sipping coconut water on a beach while some robot makes you rich. It's about choosing freedom over fear, design over default, living over endlessly waiting. And maybe you're not about to move to Bali or fire yourself tomorrow. That's okay. But maybe, just maybe, you start asking the bigger questions. What if I stopped glorifying busy? What if I could earn differently, live differently, think differently? Because in the end, the biggest risk isn't quitting your job. It's waking up 10 years from now and realizing you never truly lived. This isn't a dress rehearsal. And as Tim Ferriss says, someday is a dangerous word. It's a code for never. So, what does the 4-hour workweek really teach us? Let's break it down not as rules, but as keys to a door that's been shut for too long. 1. Redefine wealth. It's not just about money, it's about time, freedom, and meaning. 2. Eliminate what doesn't matter. Most of what fills your calendar doesn't need to. 3. Automate your income. Use systems, tools, and digital products to stop trading time for money. 4. Face your fears. Ask, what's the worst that could happen? Then go do the thing anyway. 5. Live now, not later. Retirement isn't a destination, it's a mindset. 6. Set smart constraints. Less time, fewer tools, tighter focus equals surprising results. 7. Fire yourself, then rebuild your life and work so they run without you. And here's the real mic drop truth. You don't have to wait for freedom. You can design it bit by bit, hour by hour, life by life. And it's not reserved for billionaires or tech founders or some other them. It's for you. Yes, you watching this right now. So here's what I want to ask you. What's one thing in your life you could eliminate, automate, or delegate starting this week? Drop it in the comments below. I read everyone. If this video got you thinking differently, watch my breakdown of Atomic Habits. It's all about building the systems to support your new life. And if you're serious about protecting your time and focus, Deep Work is the next one to watch. I'll see you there. Because if the 4-hour work week helps you dream big, Atomic Habits will show you how to build the tiny daily actions that make that dream real. Deep Work shows you how to make your time actually matter. It's the perfect follow-up, especially if you're ready to stop multitasking and start creating real, meaningful results without burning out. Like this video if it resonated. Subscribe for more book-driven breakthroughs. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs a reminder. You don't have to work 40 years to live free. Thanks for watching. Now go start building your version of freedom.